Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1044A, and today's date is August 9th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Entire Economy is Getting Ready to Hit Rock Bottom. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I just uploaded an interview with John Rubino. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, so if you go over to YouTube and you type in X22 Report Spotlight, it will bring you to that video. Or you can come over to the x22report.com site. Just scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the video there. Or you can see it on newssentinel.com. Same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can play the interview there. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today we see the market. It is flat once again. I mean, after the job numbers that came out, the market really hasn't moved anywhere. It's continually deteriorating. It moves up a little bit. Gold we see is now moving up a tiny bit, holding steady. And we've seen this before. Actually, if we go back to 2008 in that month of August, everything's starting to look very, very similar to that, with a huge difference. The difference is the economy is worse off than it was in 2008. And I know the U.S. government central bankers, they're always out there telling us how great the economy is, how real estate is booming, retail is booming, everything is fine. You're a nut job if you think that the economy is not doing well. Well, the question I have is, if everything is going so well, everyone has a job, everyone's purchasing houses, why in the second quarter of this year is home ownership in the United States at its lowest level in more than 50 years? There's a lot more people that are being born now. The population has grown. A lot of people taking out student loans. Why is home ownership so low? Why are there only 63% of the U.S. homes that are owned today by Americans? Because when we look at this, you would think that we would all be owning homes. The home ownership rate would be at all-time highs if the economy is doing so well, with the unemployment rate of 4.9%, with the economy doing so well. But when you look at this, you have to realize there's 40 countries on 3 continents, including China, Singapore, Mexico, and Brazil, that have higher home ownership rates. So when we look at this, the economy cannot be doing well if the everyday person is not going out saying, I have this incredible job, I'm making money, and I'm going to go buy a house. It's not happening. Same thing in retail. Retail is contracting. Stores are closing, and it's not because of the online sales. Because we would see an incredible increase in online sales, which we are not seeing whatsoever. So when we start to look at all these economic indicators, they're all flashing a red signal at us saying that we are heading towards this Great Depression. When we look at wholesale inventories, we see wholesale sales, they have surged by 1.9% month on month, most since September 2012. And we see that sales right now remain lower at negative 4.45% year on year, and inventories are higher at 0.24% year on year. This move notched the wholesale inventories to sales ratio down to 1.33, but this remains deep in recession territory despite this little improvement that we're seeing right now. And it's been in this area for quite a while. Now, very interestingly, U.S. productivity, it is a complete disaster. It plunged by 0.6%, missing the positive 0.4% expectation. This right now is the third quarterly decline in a row. Now, the first time this happened was back in 1979. And this 3-quarter plunge, this is the biggest drop in productivity since 1993. And this is the first year-on-year drop since the second quarter of 2013. So when we look at this, there's only one word for this. It is a complete disaster. Real worker productivity is collapsing, but buyback of the corporate stocks is soaring. So what are we seeing here? America is in trouble. Productivity is dead in the water. And if we look at this and we go back in time, we see U.S. productivity, it has peaked in 1972. This was the period we went off the gold standard. Since then, productivity has decreased. The trend line is down. And this is not good. If we just isolate the 15 years of U.S. productivity growth, it is on par with a slave economy, which they were able to achieve 200 years ago. So, are we in a slave economy right now? It's starting to feel that way. It feels like you're continually working more and more, making less and less, paying more and more taxes. The U.S. government central bankers are telling you that you need to pay even more than that. So, in all intents and purposes, we are in some type of slave economy. Because we're working for the central bankers. We're working to pay off the interest on their debt. Because they're creating this money out of this currency out of thin air, loaning it to the government, and they are all enslaving us to pay it all back, to pay them, where then they take this paper currency and they go around the world and they purchase up the natural resources. They take the ports from countries for pennies on the dollar. They buy mines, they buy land, they buy real hard assets, and they get rid of the paper. Who keeps the paper? A lot of the people keep the paper because they believe, and they were brainwashed over time, that this is currency. It's backed by the full faith of the U.S. government. This piece of paper with ink on it. Well, if you go back in time, the U.S. has had many pieces of paper with ink on it. Actually, one of them before 1913 was actually a gold certificate, where you took it and you were able to trade that in for actual gold. Today, you can't do that. And a lot of the paper currency, going back in time, has completely disappeared. Because the systems continually reset once a central bank is involved. If they are in control, the system is doomed. The system was designed to be doomed over time because it cannot work. Because the debt continually increases. The interest on the debt increases. And the only way it works is to spread more and more debt. Why would you want an economy that is based on debt? It makes no sense. It makes no sense to have a country that is based on debt. But we were convinced that this is the way it's supposed to be. Well, it's not. Because in the beginning, when our founding fathers found this country, the entire system was not based on debt. It was based on a system where it was backed by gold, silver, where the government, individuals in the government, they just couldn't create funds out of thin air because they had to have the gold, they had to have the silver. And you just can't create gold and silver out of thin air. That was like checks and balances to make sure that the system was sound. So what we're seeing right now is that the entire system is continually collapsing. It's not going to improve. We've seen this over time. We've been tracking it, watching it, recording it. And if we go back to 3 years, if we go back to 2008, the system has not improved at all. The only thing that's improved is the way the government manipulates statistics, the way they blow up bubbles, That's it. Otherwise, this system is coming down. One way or another, the system is doomed and it will collapse. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.